Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Let's play everyone's favourite new end-of-year game! I can't believe this happened in 2020! Goldberg squashed The Fiend for the WWE Universal Championship in Saudi Arabia, which was dumb. As usual, Vince McMahon's mind was subject to significant change in the months leading up to WrestleMania 36. It was originally meant to be Fiend versus Roman Reigns for the title, but Goldberg popped such a big ratings number in a random interview segment on SmackDown, WWE decided to bring him back, beat The Fiend for the title, to defend it against Reigns at Mania in a battle of the spears. That didn't happen though, because of Reigns understandably choosing not to work during the initial stages of the pandemic, and the match was changed to Goldberg versus Braun Strowman instead. As we've seen with WWE and Vince McMahon over the years, if something doesn't first succeed, they're going to ram it into the goddamn ground until it does. WrestleTalk.com's Louis Dangoor is exclusively reporting, because we do exclusives now, don't you know, that Roman Reigns versus Goldberg is one of the discussed plans for WrestleMania 37 at the moment, which makes total sense considering the Paul Heyman factor behind Reigns. However, this is just a contingency plan, as WWE are still hopeful that the WrestleMania main event will be Roman Reigns versus The Rock for the Universal Championship. Roman versus Rock makes the most sense on paper, with Reigns' new character being focused on the Samoan dynasty and him being the head of the family's table, a table that The Rock is also sat at, eating all the pancakes. However, as Dangoor notes, Roman Reigns versus The Rock at Mania depends on a variety of factors, including COVID and Rock's movie schedule. It would also be a much better tonal fit for the Hollywood WrestleMania in LA, which is rumoured to be pushed back until 2022. But Goldberg isn't the only potential replacement for The Rock, as Dangoor adds Big E, who is a current bookie's favourite to win the Men's Royal Rumble match, and Daniel Bryan, who is currently scheduled to face Roman for the title at the Royal Rumble, have also been discussed for the match, as has WWE Champion Drew McIntyre, with WWE higher-ups being impressed with the match they had at Survivor Series last month. Louis Dangoor will be on Wrestling Daily tonight over on Wrestle2 to discuss this story in more detail with Alex McCarthy. So go and subscribe to Wrestle2 and enable notifications to always on so you know when that goes live. Who would you like to see Roman Reigns face at WrestleMania? Let me know in the comments, because I'll be replying to people. From out of nowhere, fantasy booking Reigns versus the third Uso. Despite reports over the weekend that he could be released from the company soon, Jackson Riker returned to WWE TV last night as part of Main Event, where he's now teaming with Elias, because they both have long hair and beards, I guess. According to Sean Ross Sapp on Fightful Select, the pairing is a dry run to see if they work together before officially pitching it to Vince McMahon. This follows Riker's former stablemates from... oh my god, what was it called? I'm drawing a total blank here. The faction... Well, they also returned to TV this past week as the new mid-card Vortex with Baron Corbin. The group was ditched earlier this year when Riker lived the gimmick a little too much, tweeting out praise for Donald Trump during the Black Lives Matter movement. This might also be the new gimmick that Elias teased on social. Forgotten Sons! It was the Forgotten Sons, I've remembered it now. Anyway, here's this week's Raw in about 5 minutes. Thanks for your support on Patreon, Ronald Coleman, baby! And the roller coaster, Robert Acosta. After opening on a very sensitive 10-bell salute tribute to Pat Patterson, complete with Vince McMahon and Triple H on stage, Randy Orton kicked off the main episode by saying he's not afraid of The Fiend, so let him in. This isn't how you do a feud with The Fiend, Randy. You've got to be crying in the corner. John. Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse interrupted on the Titantron with the new hit game show, Let's Get Randy, which coincidentally is what I played with your mum last night. Up for grabs were the thematically appropriate crucifix or the rotting carcass of the Friendship Frog. Orton called out Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt for a match tonight, and Bray accepted in a genuinely big-time feeling main event. Raw Women's Champion Asuka versus Women's Tag Team Champion Shayna Baszler should be an awesome submission-style match going at least 10 minutes through several ad breaks. Instead, it's just a backdrop to the real story here, the tiresome Nia Jax versus Lana comedy feud. Failing to twist Asuka so much that her boobs were on her back, which was actually a really funny line from Jax, Shayna got distracted when Nia was hit by a Hurricane Lana and rolled up by Asuka to get pinned again. It was later announced Lana and Nia will go one-on-one next week. Once upon a time, Reckoning was positioning herself to be Asuka's next title challenger, but now she's getting squashed by Dana Brooke. Again. Showing just how little WWE think of Retribution, even with the handful of weak wins they've recently had. Ricochet and Brooke squashed Slapjack and Reckoning in minutes. Ali screamed at both of them again and stormed off. I advise you to not get emotionally invested in anything Retribution does from now on. You've only got yourself to blame when you're disappointed. Following Cedric Alexander beating Xavier Woods last week, Shelton Benjamin took on Kofi Kingston here, because there are approximately 0 other tag teams on Raw. Kofi beat Shelton easily with a Trouble in Paradise. Showing his new, more fiery persona though, Cedric called Kofi out for a second match, which Kingston unwisely accepted given that he'd just tweaked his knee. Cedric won without any of the escalating Hurt Business dissension we saw last week, because that was all saved for Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Following that age-old adage, tell, don't show, WWE have skipped to the end of their nicely building storyline of Sheamus and McIntyre being best buds, which would have meant so much more when Sheamus finally turns heel again, to everyone just saying on commentary or backstage that Sheamus is a bastard. Even Keith Lee was sucked into the nonsense, getting a lame segment where he warned Sheamus better not turn on his best pal Drew, even though Sheamus has been really nice to McIntyre. He gave him a sword. The only way this segment works is if it's Keith Lee who eventually turns on Drew. We got a horrid Miz TV segment with AJ Styles after that, where they did Scottish accents. But it did get an amazing spot where Drew lobbed the Money in the Bank briefcase so hard, it broke an LED panel on the Titantron. And then they all faced off in the latest handicap match of Sheamus and Drew versus Miz, Morrison and Styles. Because you know what Drew and Sheamus always say, it's time to bust some heads and drink some kegs. The match did nothing for me to take Drew versus AJ seriously, which, lest we forget, is the TLC title match, as it was mostly focused on the clear accident of Sheamus brogue kicking McIntyre, which led to their loss. This obviously meant Drew and Sheamus brawled in catering backstage afterwards, but they bonded over putting WWE official Pat Buck through a table, laughed and walked off, which is actually a fun spot. It just wasn't deserved with the segments around it. Jeff Hardy and Bobby Lashley then had an unexpectedly great match next, with Riddle coming out to prevent MVP from interfering. It led to a really dramatic final half, which Lashley eventually won with the full Nelson. And the main event saw Orton take on Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt. It's a testament to the character and lore Wyatt has created that them wrestling 2 weeks out from the pay-per-view significantly enhances the build rather than undermines it, because he's made you believe Bray and The Fiend are two separate characters. Instead, it gives the effect of Randy wrestling a minion to get to the big boss. This was the most babyface Wyatt has possibly ever wrestled in his latest gimmick, having a really fun bit of throwing to commercial on Byron Saxton's headset too. The lights cut out for the finish, but geniusly, because he's a smart wrestler, not one who panics and looks around when someone's entrance music hits, Orton awesomely hit an RKO before they were completely in pitch black. But I bet he wished he had those stupid night vision goggles now, because when the lights came back on, The Fiend was now underneath him, who sat up and choked him with the mandible claw in an awesome cliffhanger. I can't believe I'm saying this after their House of Horrors match, but I really hope they'll have a cinematic Firefly Funhouse bout at TLC, as a normally worked match between them could be very boring. What did you think of Raw? Let me know in the comments down below, and follow us on Twitter at WrestleTalk_TV to vote in our poll on a poll match, where 47.8% of you thought it was good, where Matthew Makovsky said it was okay, a few great moments, but overall, just not fun. I agree. The Fiend vs Orton stuff was very strong, and the Lashley vs Hardy match was surprisingly good, but the rest of the episode felt very long, with clunky booking, short matches, and retribution. This week's Raw is poor. I said I'd read out the best caption for Io Shirai's trash can spot off the top of the cage at Sunday's TakeOver War Games show, and while I'd like to do honourable mentions for WVR Network's cage matches, been there, done that, great punning, and Dan Stafford's Io Shirai paying homage to Charlotte's NXT Women's title reign, my favourite for pure succinctness goes to Dan Staples. The day the trash took you out. Tonight sees AEW champion Kenny Omega showing up on Impact Wrestling. Want to watch it live? Then click on our How to Watch Impact Anywhere in the World link in the video description below. Find out about Io's crazy trash can spot, a potential broken arm at War Games, and a WWE star maybe being released soon by clicking the video on the right. On what at 10 surprising times WWE wrestlers broke character live on TV. Click the video below that for Adam Blombier's latest list. I've been Mr. Davis. Jam that jam.